Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a pick a card reading for the time frame ahead. So for these readings, I usually pick an overall theme using the cards. So the two cards that came out here were fear and growth. So it's interesting. I was getting kind of this energy of like the transition between Scorpio season into Sagittarius season, right? Because we're approaching the end of Scorpio and moving into Sagittarius. So I feel like that's the energy. Like this is maybe the time frame of how this reading may play out, where Scorpio season can reveal a lot of fears, right? It can bring up sort of things from the depths that maybe we're afraid to look at. Shadow work is a big theme throughout Scorpio season. But this growth card was actually the first card that came out. So I feel like this is the focus. It's like you're moving into something that is an opportunity for growth, right? It's an expansion energy. It's bringing the energy of Jupiter as well, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So it's talking about expansion, Wheel of Fortune, good luck, all of this abundance that you're moving into. But there's perhaps some aspects of fear that you're needing to let go, or work through or move through, because especially with this card here, it shows sort of like this person who's being kept small by fear versus this growth expansion, which is like a full expression of your authenticity is what's coming through here. I was thinking about like, I saw recently like videos of a moose, and I feel like people are always like so surprised at how big those creatures are. Because I feel like moose are not like animals that we see regularly. They're kind of like a rare occurrence kind of thing. So it's kind of coming through as being like, there may be an aspect in your life where there's an expansion that perhaps you don't feel ready for yet, maybe, because especially with this fear card, I was being reminded sort of like, sometimes fear is there to protect you, right? Like you can feel afraid of something that like you should not go towards some sort of like dangerous animal because that can actually cause you harm, right? So fear is not always a bad thing. It does have protective reasons for being there, right? Evolutionarily, we are programmed to respond to our fears so that we don't get ourselves into danger or into trouble, right? But because it's coming out with growth on the other side of it, the fear that we're talking about in this reading is fears that are keeping us smaller when there's a potential for expansion and a full, authentic growth into who we are meant to become. So that's the overall theme of this reading. I'm going to go into the different groups, so I'll hold up cards and you can find the timestamps in the description box below. So there are only two groups for this reading today. I'll hold up the cards in a minute, but I've also included two poems, a couple of them that I've written, that I wrote a few years ago now, but I was being reminded of them, and so I'm including them in the group selection as well. They're in the description box below to help you to sort of figure out what the story is about for you. So the cards to go along with that, for group one, we have here the King of Wands. And for group two, we have the King of Swords. So I'll hold up both of these two side by side so that you can pick. The poems in the description box are also there to help you select if you need it. So timestamps are in the description box, and I'll see you there. Bye. Hi, group one. Welcome to your reading. So this is the second time I'm recording your reading, because the first time I feel like there's a lot of excitement in your energy. So because you do have this firecracker excitement card, which is really lovely because what you're going towards, the growth that you are headed towards, group one, you have the guardian of the gate and the journeyman, which is so lovely. So moving through a portal, moving through a new experience. And in the process, I feel like you're leaving a lot behind, because I often see this as being sort of like a bottleneck energy, where it's like you have to, it's a tight squeeze temporarily. And in the process, you're shedding a lot of perhaps like baggage or whatever. It's kind of like you can only carry a limited amount of things with you into the next journey. That's sort of the energy that you're moving into. It is feeling like a growth, like an expansion, though, even though you're leaving something behind, because what you're leaving behind is coming through with sort of like this 10 of Wands energy, which of course talks about burden, and the Bodacious Bodak. So this card here, I will get into, because it's a bit complicated, so I'm gonna try my best to be patient with that energy. So just to talk about you a bit more for a second, what your expansion and your growth is, you have here the throne and the crown. So when I first did this recording, I said crone, right? Combining throne and crown. The crone in terms of like, you've reached some sort of ending where you have a lot of wisdom is what's coming through here. You've gained a lot of wisdom about death and rebirth cycles, because of course the crone is also a very Scorpio energy of like being really comfortable actually with death and rebirth cycles, right? It's like you've accepted some sort of ending in your life and you're gracefully moving on to the next part. And I feel like with here as well, these two energies, because they're so powerful, right? A crown and a throne. I feel like you are moving, or like you are reclaiming your power, absolutely, but also moving into a place where you are very powerful. So it says position of authority, honor and respect will come to you, right? There's a lot of power in your energy today for you, group one, with all of this excitement, right? That's what you're going into. And you also have the bow. You are highly thought of, which is really incredible. But I feel like it's not quite time yet, because at the bottom of the deck, you have Lascuna, the Teom, the Poet, and the Maiden, right? So moving from the crone energy where you've gained a lot of wisdom, but it's the natural ending, so you're starting something new with the Maiden. The Lascuna talks to me about like being open to opportunities and like listening for the right opportunity to move into. With the Teom, the Poet, it's further emphasizing this energy of like, it's not quite time yet. There are perhaps still things that you're needing to close off, but you're approaching the portal, or you're approaching this new beginning, and you'll know it when it's time, is what's coming through here. It's not quite time yet, though, is what's coming through. So in the meantime, right, this fear energy that's coming out is being represented by this Bodacious Bodak. And to clarify this, it was coming out with the wedge. Someone is trying to come between you and a friend or something that you want. So there's a character here that is coming through as being very unhelpful. They're somebody who, if you were to have a conversation with them, they would say something like, I'm trying to be helpful, I'm trying to help you, let me help you, maybe. But when they do help you, right, when they trying to give you advice, maybe, or to whatever form of assistance they are trying to give you, it ends up actually feeling like more work, more burden. It feels like a wedge in between you and what it is that you're moving forward into. It's also somebody who it may be kind of difficult to set boundaries with this one, because it's kind of like if you tell them that you don't want their help anymore, they make it seem that like it's like you're rejecting something that's good for you, right? So they may be phrasing sort of their advice like that, where it's like, oh, well, like I was just trying to be helpful. I didn't know that you were using this thing. I didn't know that you needed this thing after I threw it out. Like that kind of thing. They create more mess and more, what's the word I'm looking for? They create more mess. They create more mess when they're trying to clean, is what's coming through here. And so their energy is coming through with this King of Wands, but it's a feminine representation. So maybe like a feminine energy in your life, but it's like the actions that they're taking in order to be helpful, in quotation marks, actually causes a lot more disruption in your life. So how this was coming through is sort of like a fairy godmother, but every time they try and give you a blessing, it ends up like being a curse or something. Like it's kind of like in Harry Potter where like Ron uses he like his wand becomes broken, and so whenever he tries to cast a spell, it ends up backfiring on him. So that could actually be a consequence of their actions. It's kind of like every time this person tries to help you, it ends up backfiring in a way where it's actually like you end up having to clean up their mess, or they need you to help them clean up their mess, or whatever, right? It's like they're trying to help you, but in the process, they're creating more mess. And I feel like you've actually, you will know who this is in your life. You will know who this is. The moon energy is coming out because I feel like you've already tried to set boundaries with them, or you've already turned your back or created separation between you and this person. And it's like they're still trying to come in, because this Bodacious Bodak from the guidebook, it comes through this energy of like, even when you set boundaries, this one will still find a way in, because how they get in is by pulling on loose threads. So if you have any loose ends that you haven't tied up yet, they're going to pull on them. And the reason why they're doing that is because of this. So their energy is coming here with the Five of Swords. So I'm seeing this as like, this is how they might present to you. Here's some assistance. I have this ability to help people, so I'm going to do it. The Five of Swords. But it's coming through actually with like, something about their magic is broken, is what's coming through with the Five of Swords, where, and I'm saying this with a lot of, as much compassion as I can muster, which, because I've been in this situation before, where sometimes we can become attached to a certain identity of how we view ourselves, right? Like, especially when it comes to like helping other people, because that in itself is a very positive intention to have, right? I want to help others. However, it feels like this one here has adopted that identity of like, I'm going to help other people, where it's become kind of like the only thing about them, because it's kind of like if they're not helping somebody, they don't know who they are. They don't actually have anything other than this aspect of self where they're helping other people, right? Like, so if there's nobody around to help, it's almost like they just don't do anything, right? If there's not somebody where they're like helping them clean up messes or whatever, it's like, well, they have no other purpose in their life. They have nothing that brings them joy, is what's coming through here, outside of this role that they're playing of being this sort of fairy godmother. And I feel like for you, it's kind of like, perhaps you've realized that, you've seen that about them. It's like you have the Wheel of Fortune here next to the moon, where it's like you've had to turn your back on this one because there's some sort of significant change that you are moving towards. And I feel like if they are sort of here with the Five of Swords, meddling in your business when you've asked them not to, the reason why that they're doing that is is because they're seeing you move on without them here with the Queen of Swords and the Knight of Swords. This is you, the Knight of Swords, right? So I'm seeing this as being sort of like an older feminine energy, but it doesn't have to be. It's just kind of like the dynamic between you, a Knight and a Queen of Swords, where you're moving forward very quickly. And they're seeing that, right? They're seeing all of this excitement and new energy that is coming to you, or that you're going towards. And they're also feeling perhaps left out or left behind, right? Perhaps feeling abandoned in some way, because it's kind of like you've turned your back with the moon. This one it talks to me about separation always. This one is separation. I feel like you've chosen to remove yourself from their energy. And it's like they're still pulling on the loose threads because perhaps you haven't tied off the loose ends, right? You haven't quite moved into the new thing yet. You are about to. It's not quite time yet, though. And so in the meantime, it's kind of like you're still kind of hanging around for a little bit until this new thing comes in. And so they're using that opportunity to somehow come between you and this new start, is what's coming through here. Because you're surrounded by a whole bunch of excitement, right? They just want to be a part of that, is what's coming through. They want to be a part of the excitement that's around you. And so they're pulling at every single loose thread that they can possibly pull on in order to, I don't necessarily feel that it's like they're trying to get in between you, but they just don't want to be left behind. That's the issue here. It's not that they want to interfere in your business, but they don't want you to leave them behind. And I feel like the guidance, if this is resonating with you on some level, because what you're moving into, right? The Knight of Swords, Ten of Cups, Judgment. It's not quite time yet for whatever this Ten of Cups is, but it's approaching very quickly. You are moving towards that very quickly with the Guardian of the Gate, right? You're moving through this portal. The key here, though, is the only way that you get through this portal is through happiness and joy. That's the only way that you move forward. This one here is trying to pull on your loose thread so that they don't get left behind, but it's kind of like there's no tricking this energy. You can't trick energy, right? You can't falsify energy. So if they're trying to move forward with you, the only way they're getting through this portal is through happiness and love and joy. They can't ride on your coattails through this portal. That's not how it works. You can't trick energy. And so this Judgment card is... This one I always see as being patient, right? Because it's like, it's almost time. It's almost time. It's not time yet. The trumpet hasn't been blown yet, but it will be soon. And it's like you're moving towards that, and to focus on, first of all, your Ten of Cups, your happiness, your joy, and to make sure you tie up any loose ends about this situation, because the people that you are leaving behind who can see that you're happy will try and ride on your coattails to get through with you, right? That's what's coming through here. But just as a reminder, I feel like you are seeing this. You've already turned your back on this energy is what I'm seeing. It's kind of like there may be people who are seeing your happiness and they are trying to put a wedge between you and this happiness. If somebody can't be happy for you when you're happy, that's somebody that you don't need in your life, right? If somebody is like, you're doing something that makes you happy, you're moving towards something that makes you happy, and all they can give you is like mess, that's somebody that you don't need. And so focus on your happiness, because if they're not happy, they're not getting through this portal. So I'm going to leave it there, group one. If this message resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. Hi, Group 2. Welcome to your reading. Group 1's energy was very activating. There's a lot of excitement in that energy. So this one feels a lot more calm, which is really lovely. So bottom of the deck, you have here the fan, which says romance, celebration, party, and the lily, celebration, yes, but spiritual love. So this is what it is that you're moving into, right? This romance, spiritual love, which is so beautiful. And it's coming out with the She of the Karak as well, because I feel like this is sort of like the Ace of Cups energy, which you also have in your reading, which is this spiritual love. So that's your energy. That's the expansion that you're moving into, with this sort of Ace of Swords, which is talking about, of course, the truth, right? You have the truth now about a particular situation as well. The Six of Pentacles underneath that, this to me talks about like gossip or pettiness, because I feel like there was somebody in your space that you're leaving behind that perhaps was testing you in some way, or they were trying to bring you into low vibrational energy. Let's call it like that. Okay. And they're coming through here with, first of all, Singer of Initiation, which always talks about like before you move up a level, before you move through something, move into some new energy, there is a sort of trial that you have to go through first, right? There's a sort of like testing kind of energy where like your gifts, your skills, your intuition, all of that sort of go through a sort of trial, a test, in order to see if you're ready to move on to the next level, is what's coming through here. But underneath that, you have the eagle, which says triumph over troubles and obstacles, which you have absolutely overcome. Group 2, you have overcome this already. Or if you're in the midst of it, it's like you are overcoming it. That's what's coming through. Because it's coming through like this. You have here the Seven of Swords and the King of Swords. This is the feminine representation of the King of Swords, though. So this Seven of Swords may have presented as a challenge, where... So traditionally, Seven of Swords talks about, like, deception or self-sabotage in some way. So there may have been an energy where somebody or a situation, perhaps, was feeling like a test in order to see if you have changed, or... if given the opportunity, you would enter into a self-sabotaging behavior again, maybe, right? Like, it's kind of like some sort of energy is coming back around to see if, like, you've overcome that challenge, maybe. And I feel like you have, or you will, here with the eagle. I'm not sure if this is actually, like, it's kind of like in between, right? It's like there's still perhaps one last challenge that you're having to move through in order for this energy to pass. But then you have here the King of Swords, which I love so much, and it's coming out here with the Penelope, the Dreamweaver. So if you look at all of this energy at the bottom here, right, it's kind of like there are a whole bunch of like pearls or inspiration, because this is a fairy that talks about inspiration, of like connecting with something outside of you, that provides a lot of insight, perhaps, or inspiration to create that kind of thing. And it's like, I feel like part of the test was like being able to use all of the information that you're being given and weave it into some sort of creation, right? It's feeling like a very creative energy, but because it's the King of Swords, it's kind of like an intellectual kind of mind-based, perhaps like shifting the way you think about your circumstances, especially with the the Ace of Swords. So it could be in terms of like how you think about relationships as well, especially because the spiritual love card is coming out, romance, celebration, and party. It's kind of coming through here. If I say this a lot in my readings, but it is kind of looking like Cinderella and the stepsisters, where it's feeling like you've finally upgraded to the point where the stepsisters are reaping their karma is what's coming through here, because you have the haystack. Karma, you will reap what you have sown, but it's like you're here standing with the needle, right? You found the needle in the haystack. It's kind of like there's an energy where you were dealing with perhaps individuals who were testing you to see if you would react, maybe. But it's kind of like you've overcome that because you have connected with some sort of inspiration, maybe. But I feel like that's you, though. That's the thing. Penelope Dreamweaver. I feel like this is an energy that you're embodying in some way, or that's like that you're working with in some way, that you're actually showing up like this, where it's like you have this needle in you found the needle in the haystack is what's coming through here. Hopefully that relates. I actually for this reading, I think I'm actually going to, I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided, but I was thinking about putting poems in the description box that feel like they're connected to this reading of some sort, so maybe they will help you. And the needle in the haystack was something that was really significant. And that poem, if I do include it, or if I don't include it, I'll tell you what it's about. It was basically like, I feel like somebody misjudged you or undervalued you in some way. And it's kind of like you are going to be the one who got away in this story. Because it's kind of like, now that you're gone, or now that you're getting some sort of upgrade, it's like they're actually seeing some sort of like how they were wrong about you, or that they are receiving karma because they misjudged you in some way, or undervalued you, or underestimated you. Because what's coming out next are these two cards here, the flute and the pail, which say disappointment in a friend or lover and time to get out of a situation, right? It's like some sort of situation was like, so what was coming through here is like, say you are like going to like a pawn shop, for example, right? Or like an establishment where there's some sort of exchange of resources, you're trying to sell something maybe, and it's like the person at the pawn shop gave you a really low estimate on something that you were selling, right? They undervalued purposely, because that's what pawn shops do. They undervalue your possessions, what you have, in order so that they can sell it for a higher price, right? So it's an example of that, where it's like perhaps you went somewhere. Pawn shop is just an example of how this energy is coming through. You went somewhere trying to sell something, or like get some sort of exchange for your possessions or your gifts or whatever, and they undervalued you. They gave you a very low price, or a low estimate, or a low valuation of your possessions or belongings, and that's where the disappointment comes in. But I feel like for you, that might have been a test where it's like seeing if you actually know what your value is, because it's kind of like you got out of there. You did not lower your standards. You did not allow their estimation of you to affect how you see yourself. It's kind of like there was disappointment, but not because of what they said about you, but because of the fact that they couldn't see your worth, right? That's what's coming through. So it's kind of like here with the cards coming out next, the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles, this is the energy that you're leaving behind. I feel like it's kind of feeling like there's somebody here who was looking at you from a distance, is what this is feeling like. Because it's kind of like they have, oh my gosh, this is coming through so much. Okay, so it's kind of like there's somebody here who has placed themselves on a pedestal. It's not even like you put them on a pedestal or that like whatever. It's not something like that. Maybe you did. Maybe because you were seeing them from this place, you're like, oh, that person has some sort of position of authority or whatever, right? But it kind of seems like to me that they've put themselves on some sort of pedestal where it's like they can only see things from a distance, right? It's kind of like their valuation of you was so undervalued because they were looking at you from like this high horse that they're on, is what's coming through here. And so what I'm seeing in your energy, you have here the Four of Cups, which of course is an energy of disappointment, but also the Page of Wands, which talks to me about looking closer. If they had actually gotten off of this perch that they're on, right? If they've gotten off this pedestal that they have placed themselves on and looked closer, they would have seen something about you that was like a needle in a haystack, right? Diamond in the rough, that kind of thing. But they were looking at you from a distance. That's perhaps some closure that you might need about this situation, where it's like, if somebody has undervalued your gifts or your whatever it is, their estimation of you is coming from a place of a distance. So they absolutely have missed out on something. And you're going to be sort of this energy where it's like, I can't believe I let that thing go. That's kind of what's coming through here, because what's coming out next for you, the Page of Cups, which I absolutely adore, because this looks to me like appreciating the smallest, but that's the thing, it's not small at all. It's a very, it's treasure. It's treasure. You have treasure. You are treasured, or there is like something incredibly valuable about what it is that you have, or what it is that you're providing for others, or all of that, right? And I feel like there's this energy of like, don't undervalue yourself because of what somebody else thinks that you're worth, because they're seeing you from a distance, where it's like, if they bothered to look closer, they would have benefit from the situation, right? They seriously misjudged you, is what's coming through here. So what you have next here, though, is the Dark Lady, because I feel like you're moving through this place where it's kind of like this card today is coming through with like the quiet after the storm. Because I feel like you've surpassed or overcome some sort of challenge, right? It's like the ending has happened. This is sort of like the recovery, or the quiet energy that's moving you into the next thing, right? It's kind of like, so if you're feeling like there's not a lot happening, because you do have the Hermit here, it's almost like you're being perhaps you're hermiting a little, or just, I'm seeing this as like, this energy here, the Dark Lady, is like putting you in a safe place until it's time for you to move forward, because you are going to come down from this energy at some point, because it's like this one here has established their position on top of this pedestal that they're on. I feel like you are being elevated to that point temporarily in order to see the situation from like a bird's eye view, right? The eagle. It's coming through a lot. This Hermit energy is being like in Lord of the Rings, when Gandalf in the first book, he goes to visit his friend, the White Wizard, and it ends up being like a trap, right? And so Gandalf goes to the top of, or like gets trapped at the top of this tower, because he was betrayed by a friend, disappointment in a friend, and the eagles come to rescue him, right? So it's kind of like that's the energy I'm seeing you in right now, group 2, where it's like perhaps you're in this top of the tower kind of energy, but because you've overcome some sort of challenge or you've seen the truth about a situation, it's like there's an eagle arriving to help you out of this situation. It's kind of like you're being maybe isolated in the time where it's like where help is coming to get you is kind of how it's coming through, right? You're temporarily being isolated so that whatever mess is going on around you can be cleaned up, and it's like you're going to be brought out of this place. Because I feel like this hermit energy is not where you want to be, because it's kind of like if you stay there for a long time, you're going to end up like this one, like the King of Pentacles, that you don't want to end up like. And it's like the Ace of Cups is coming in to say that you will be brought back down to earth in a very positive way. Like there's spiritual love here, right? They're going to bring you to safety, the eagle energy, whoever that is. You're being brought to safety, back to a place where you feel safe and not sort of like at the center of this tower energy where perhaps you are because of disappointment and whatever, right? There's with this archway here, new opportunities, possibilities, and paths opening up. It's kind of like you're just temporarily in this place until whatever it is that's coming to you arrives. So be patient. This hermit energy is not going to last for a long time. You will be moving through that, and you're going towards the Ace of Cups. So group 2, I'm going to leave the reading there. If this reading resonated with you, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.